From impeachments to inaugurations, if it's a political story, we are on the scene. The race for the White House is heating up.
Kamala, you're fired!
I say, bring it on.
If it's breaking news, we're live with the latest coverage. From the White House, the State Department, and Capitol Hill, we know the issues, but above all, we know the players to bring you the latest in-depth analysis on all the key stories that we're covering. I'm Eric Ham. Join me from Washington here on Firstpost America. Hello and welcome to the program. I'm Eric Ham in Washington, D.C. It's another manic Monday with stories from the United States and around the world. But before that, here's a look at the latest headlines. Vice President Kamala Harris agrees to participate in a second presidential debate, but Donald Trump declines, saying it's too late as early voting gets underway. Mexico says the United Nations Security Council does not represent the global South and demands the elimination of the Council's veto power. The Security Council has 5 permanent members that include the United States, the United Kingdom, France, Russia, and China. A Russian missile strike on a residential building in Ukraine's Zaporizhia kills at least 1 and wounds 23 others. The attack comes as Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky visits the United States. India launches an investigation into the business practices of streaming giant Netflix. New Delhi accuses the company of visa violations, racial discrimination, and tax evasion. And Kenyan President William Ruto pledges 600 additional troops for the international peacekeeping mission in Haiti. This after he visited the gang-ravaged country over the weekend and met the 400-strong Kenyan contingent in Port-au-Prince. We begin in the United States. Former President Donald Trump has ruled out the possibility of running for the White House in 2028 if he loses this year's election. During an interview, Donald Trump said that if he loses to Kamala Harris, this would be the end of his presidential ambitions forever. The 78-year-old has been a candidate for office in 3 consecutive elections. Even if he wins this time, Donald Trump is not expected to run in the next election as the law limits presidents from serving more than 2 terms. Now, this is the second time in a week that Donald Trump has mentioned the very real possibility of losing. In fact, last Thursday, he addressed the Israeli-American Council and suggested that Jewish voters would partly be responsible for his defeat.
You have a big protector in me. You don't have a protector on the other side. And I've said long and loud, anybody, and especially over the last few years, anybody who's Jewish and loves being Jewish and loves Israel is a fool if they vote for a Democrat. But beyond that, if they love Israel, anybody that votes for a Democrat or Kamala especially, because this is the worst ever. This is the worst you've ever had. This one makes Barack Hussein Obama look like he loved Israel by comparison. But you should have your head examined.
Meanwhile, during a rally in North Carolina on Saturday, the former president made a direct appeal to women voters. The man many believe responsible for gutting women's reproductive rights said he would be a better champion for women than Vice President Kamala Harris and would fix all of their problems.
So let's talk about our great women, all right? Because women have gone through a lot. They've gone through a lot. Women are poorer than they were 4 years ago, are less healthy than they were 4 years ago, are less safe on the streets than they were 4 years ago, are paying much higher prices for groceries and everything else than they were 4 years ago, are more stressed and depressed and unhappy than they were 4 years ago, and are less optimistic and confident in the future than they were just 4 years ago. I will fix all of that, women. I will fix all of that, and I will fix it fast.
On his social media platform, Truth Social, the former president shared that women would no longer think about abortion under his second term. In fact, multiple opinion polls show that female voters overwhelmingly prefer Kamala Harris over Donald Trump when it comes to reproductive rights. A new poll by NBC News shows the Democratic nominee holds a 5-point lead over her Republican rival. And a separate CBS News poll showed Kamala Harris leading Donald Trump by 4 percentage points among likely voters. Now, with D-Day just 41 days away, early in-person voting has begun in the states of Minnesota, South Dakota, and Virginia. And about a dozen more states will follow suit by mid-October. And staying in the United States, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky is set to present his plan for victory in Washington this week. The Ukrainian president is scheduled to meet President Joe Biden, members of Congress, and even presidential candidates Kamala Harris and Donald Trump.
All the details of the peace plan I will discuss first of all with the President of the United States. Most of the decisions from the plan depend specifically on him. On other allies too, but there are certain points which depend on the goodwill and support of the United States. I hope he supports this plan.
Now, President Zelensky said the top priority remains securing more military aid and persuading the United States and its allies to allow Ukraine to use long-range missiles to strike deep into Russian territory.
The entire plan is predicated upon quick decisions from our partners. The plan is predicated upon decisions which should take place from October to December and not delaying these processes. We really want to see this, and we would then consider that the plan has worked.
Meanwhile, Russia's Vladimir Putin has warned that such missile strikes would be considered a direct involvement by NATO, which could escalate the war even further. However, the Kremlin has said that if there is official information on the Ukrainian president's victory plan, then they too would like to study it. President Zelensky visited an ammunition factory in Pennsylvania where he thanked the workers producing munitions for his country.
You said that 400 people work here, but I wanted very much to come here and to thank you. 400 people saved millions of Ukrainians. Because of the result of your work, I'm very thankful. Just from ordinary Ukrainians to you. And what can I say? Thank you so much. You helped us to survive against Putin invasion.
Now, after his meetings in Washington, President Zelensky will travel to New York, where he'll attend the United Nations Security Council meeting and deliver a speech at the General Assembly. He views this autumn as a turning point in the war and is working to ensure Ukraine has the support it needs to secure victory and rebuild the country. The stakes are high as President Zelensky pushes for deeper U.S. involvement as the future of the country still very much hangs in the balance. And now the latest from the Middle East, where Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has vowed to do everything necessary to diminish the threat posed by Lebanon's Hezbollah. In a video statement, Netanyahu said he was determined to return the displaced Israelis in the country's north that borders Lebanon.
On October 8th, another Iranian terrorist proxy, Hezbollah, attacked Israel completely unprovoked. They fired missiles and rockets into our cities. They made 60,000 Israelis leave their homes along the Lebanon border, becoming refugees in their own land. In the subsequent months, they haven't stopped for a single day attacking us. No country can accept the wanton rocketing of its cities. We can't accept it either. We will take whatever action is necessary to restore security and to bring our people safe back to their homes.
The Israeli Prime Minister's remarks came after Hezbollah warned the conflict between the two sides was entering a new stage of open-ended battle.
We don't need to make threats, and we won't specify how we will respond to aggression. We've entered a new phase, open-ended battle of reckoning. where we monitor the support and confrontation front, while every now and then we kill them and fight them from where they expect and beyond.
Tensions between the two escalated last week after the Iran-backed group was hit by 2 waves of pager and walkie-talkie explosions that killed nearly 40 people and injured thousands. Since then, the warring factions have engaged in multiple cross-border firing incidents that could spiral into a full-blown war. In the latest, Israel launched airstrikes in southern Lebanon, killing almost 200 and wounding more than 700. The Israeli military also asked locals in southern Lebanon to move away from their homes immediately.
The IDF will engage in extensive precise strikes against terror targets which have been embedded widely throughout Lebanon. We ask residents of Lebanese villages to pay attention to the message and warning published by the IDF and heed them. This is an advance warning for your own safety and the safety of your family. We advise civilians from Lebanese villages located in and next to buildings and areas used by Hezbollah for military purpose, such as those used to store weapons, to immediately move out of harm's way for their own safety.
Hezbollah fired over 100 rockets across northern Israel on Sunday, with some landing near the port city of Haifa. The barrage of rockets targeted Israel after Israeli warplanes in Beirut reduced an apartment building to rubble, killing at least 45 people, including Hezbollah's top commander and 16 of its members. Meanwhile, President Joe Biden says he is pushing hard to prevent a wider war in the Middle East.
President, are you worried about rising tensions in the Middle East?
Yes, I am, but we're going to do everything we can to keep a wider war from breaking out. And we're still pushing hard. Thank you.
Washington continues to stress the need for a diplomatic solution to bring stability to the war-torn region. However, neither side is backing down as their 11th-month fighting raises concern for the region and the international community. And returning to the United States, Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi captivated thousands of Indian Americans at a grand event in New York. The excitement was palpable as he spoke of India's rapid advancement in technology and its growing influence on the global stage. The Prime Minister also signed agreements with President Joe Biden on manufacturing semiconductors, strengthening regional security and ties between the two nations. Here's our story with more.
We're so excited to see that how Modi ji has really brought up the whole country and the global imprint on the world.
We were waiting a long time for this event. We were very excited to come, and this is he's our leader. He's a global leader.
Minister of India is in the house. Let's give a huge New York welcome to His Excellency, the Prime Minister of India, Shri Narendra Modi.
Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi stepped onto the stage at the Nassau Coliseum in Long Island to a thunderous applause, met by a sea of excited Indian Americans chanting his name. The energy was palpable as thousands waited eagerly to hear the leader they so deeply admire. And without disappointing them, Prime Minister Modi opened on a powerful note.
Bharat Mata Ki.
The Indian leader began by acknowledging something as simple as the traditional Indian Namaste.
Namaste, yes.
Which he noted had long journeyed from being a local gesture to now a global greeting. And who does he credit for this transformation? The Indian diaspora.
भारतीय डायस्पोरा के सामर्थ्य को समझता रहा हूं.
जब मेरे पास कोई सरकारी पद नहीं था तब भी समझता था और आज भी समझता हूं। आप सब मेरे लिए हमेशा से भारत के सबसे मजबूत ब्रांड एम्बेसडर रहे हैं। ये सम्मान
Addressing the diaspora as India's ambassador to the world, Prime Minister Modi thanked them for respect and cited the power of the Indian Americans ahead of the November 5th US presidential election. But the Indian Prime Minister did not stop at cultural pride. He quickly transitioned to India's growing technological prowess, particularly in the realm of manufacturing and semiconductors.
वो दिन दूर नहीं जब आप मेड इन इंडिया चिप यहां अमेरिका में भी देखेंगे। ये छोटी सी चिप विकसित भारत की उड़ान को नई ऊंचाई पर ले जाएगी।
His message was clear: India is not slowing down. Yet despite the surge towards becoming a global tech powerhouse, the Prime Minister assured the audience that India does not seek dominance but harmony.
2024 का ये साल पूरी दुनिया के लिए बहुत अहम है। एक तरफ दुनिया के कई देशों के बीच संघर्ष है, तनाव है, तो दूसरी तरफ कई देशों में डेमोक्रेसी का जश्न चल रहा है। भारत और अमेरिका डेमोक्रेसी के जश्न में भी एक साथ है।
After addressing the diaspora, the Indian Prime Minister also met CEOs of America's top tech and business firms. Google CEO Sundar Pichai, Nvidia's founder and CEO Jensen Huang, and Adobe CEO Shantanu Narayan were some of the big names that met the Indian leader. But when it comes to America's domestic politics, speculation remains about whether Prime Minister Modi will meet either of the two presidential candidates. While campaigning in Michigan last Tuesday, former President and Republican nominee Donald Trump said he would meet Prime Minister Modi at the end of this week in New York. However, India's Ministry of External Affairs informed that even though many meetings are being fixed and the process is ongoing, at this moment we cannot confirm any specific meet.
देखिए, जैसा मैंने पहले ही कहा कि प्रधानमंत्री जी के साथ कई सारी मीटिंग्स इस समय हैं जिनको हम फिक्स करने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं। जितना समय उपलब्ध है हमारे पास मीटिंग्स के लिए, तो अभी मैं किसी स्पेसिफिक मीटिंग के बारे में आपको नहीं बता पाऊंगा कि मीटिंग्स फिक्स हुई हैं या नहीं। हम सभी दृष्टिकोणों से देख रहे हैं कि कितना समय हमारे पास है और किस किस से मीटिंग हो सकती है। तो जैसे भी जो भी लीडर्स के साथ मीटिंग फिक्स होती है तो उसके बारे में मैं समय पे आपको अपडेट करता रहूंगा।
आप सभी का बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद।
So as the night drew to a close, Modi Modi chants still echoed in Long Island.
भारत माता की,
a reminder of the unbreakable bond between India and its people, no matter where they are in the world.
And finally, fans are frustrated as the cost of attending a concert has now reached astronomical levels. Dynamic pricing, inflation, and rising touring costs all play a role in skyrocketing ticket prices. In fact, in some cases, tickets are costing almost $14,000, which begs the question, how much is too much for a night of live music? Our final report goes into detail.
The world may be divided on many issues, But one thing that's managed to both unite and split us all in equal measure are concerts. Be it Beyoncé, Coldplay or Taylor Swift, while some are happily crossing continents to attend, others are suffering the ultimate indignity. Waiting in virtual lines so long, they might as well wrap around the planet. However, one thing we can all agree on is the absurd ticket prices. In the golden age of concerts, a ticket to see the British rock band Oasis in 2009 was around $60. One could catch multiple shows a year without having to mortgage their house. Fast forward to the here and now, and Oasis is charging close to $200 for their reunion show. Queen of Pop Madonna has clearly not gotten the memo that people need to eat and pay rent. She's out here charging a staggering $1,700 for VIP passes. And if you have $3,000 lying around, congratulations, you can join Beyoncé on stage, because why not be part of the performance? And let's not even start on Taylor Swift, whose tickets have allegedly sold for $14,000. So what exactly is happening? Why are we shelling out vacation-level cash to hear the same songs we could stream for free? According to reports, ticket prices jumped 23% recently. The average cost of the ticket of the top 100 tours worldwide is now $134, up from $109 last year. Of course, it's not just the artist inflating these prices. We've got the venue size, fan base, country-specific inflation, and the artist's own popularity adding zeros to your bill. Let's not forget the pandemic, a crisis that apparently broke not only the supply chain, but also the concert industry's moral compass. Ticket prices surged by 19% post-COVID, and touring is now an extortion racket disguised as an art form. With fuel costs up 20%, shipping costs up 30%, and rental gear increasing by 15 to 20%, the crew's accommodation costs have also spiked. So it's a team effort in price inflation. Artists aren't doing this for the love of music alone, they've got pockets to fill. In a world where an artist's career barely outlasts a TikTok trend, who can blame them for milking the cash cow? Streaming royalties are laughable, about 5%, and no one's buying CDs anymore. So while your bank account sobs, artists are stockpiling for the next streaming drought. And the madness doesn't end there. Dynamic pricing is another culprit. The algorithmic beast that ensures that by the time you refresh your ticketing page, prices have skyrocketed into the stratosphere. Add to this the lovely bunch of black market sellers and resellers who scoop up tickets in bulk only to sell them back to desperate fans at 5 times the price. At its core, the concert ticket pricing game is all about basic economics. Where there's demand, there's supply. And the biggest buyers? Gen Z and those cursed with the fear of missing out. One will find people who couldn't name 5 Coldplay songs still snagging tickets, while others are hyped up for a Diljit Dosanjh concert and might not even know he started his career singing at religious venues. So until the day we all stop collectively giving in to the concert craze, prices will continue to soar. And the struggle to snag tickets will rage on. After all, in the battle of music lovers versus ticket sellers, the sellers always seem to have the upper hand. Armed with algorithms, dynamic pricing, and a little help from our insatiable need to prove we were there.
That's the program for today. We certainly thank you so much for tuning in. We hope to see you right back here again tomorrow. Thanks everyone for watching. From impeachments to inaugurations, if it's a political story, we are on the scene. The race for the White House is heating up.
Kamala, you're fired.
I say, bring it on.
If it's breaking news, we're live with the latest coverage. From the White House, the State Department, and Capitol Hill, we know the issues, but above all, we know the players to bring you the latest in-depth analysis on all the key stories that we're covering. I'm Eric Ham. Join me from Washington here on Firstpost America.
Hello and a very warm welcome. I am Gursheen Garland and you're watching Firstpost.